Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Mysterium Park. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to the circus, but some bad things have happened there. We're trying to figure out who was the murderer and where they did it. Today we're taking a look at Mysterium Park. This is a sort of a smaller standalone game in the Mysterium universe, which uses many of the main mechanisms, but they've made it a little bit different. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. This overview is brought to you by Bezier Games' new standalone game Whistle Mountain, which has a unique twist on worker placement, and then recently I gave it a saxophone serenade. Check it out at beziergames.com. At the beginning of Mysterium Park, each player is going to get their own intuition token, which is a crystal ball. This is a cooperative game where one player plays as the ghost and the other players are psychics trying to understand what the ghost is trying to tell them. There are different characters and you're trying to figure out which is the one that did it. And there'll also be locations that you're trying to figure out which is the location it was done at too. And what you're trying to do is get everyone to figure out the puzzle together. At the beginning of the game, only the ghost gets to see this plot card which tells them which of the characters are innocent and which one belongs to which of the player colors. And this grid has to do with the grid of the actual cards on the table. And again, only the ghost can see this, but for example, this one is innocent and it's the red players. Blue player, white player, yellow, and pink or purple, whatever you want to call it. So those are the characters that belong to those certain players. Now, if you're playing with less than the max player count, then you're only trying to obviously find the ones with the players that are playing. And if you're playing with 2 or 3 players, each player takes 2 colors that they'll be working with. Now the ghost will get 7 of these vision cards in their hand, obviously holding them secret, and they're trying to figure out which of these cards they'll give to certain players because they're going to correspond with the art you see here behind those on the board. For example, this clown here. Maybe I think this looks just like the clown with the crazy eyes and just the way this looks. I'm like, oh, that looks like the clown. I can give this card to this player, who in this case is the pink player. So we can give this to them. Now you can give them more than one card, but if you do, you got to give it to them at the same time. And so you'll do this, and they will begin to think about which one of all these, because the psychics don't know. They're trying to figure out which ones of these are through deduction and through the cards. And so you're giving them this, and all the other players who have not been given a card yet are also trying to talk with this person and also see which one it might be. It's because it's a cooperative game. Now when the ghost gives the cards, they can never talk. They can't say anything, they can't make facial expressions, they can't do anything to lead the people on. There's literally no body language and no talking from the ghost the whole game. And the ghost will do this for everybody else that's playing. And as they give cards out, they'll be drawing cards from a deck of 84 cards back to their hands, so they always have 7. And if it's really tough for the ghost, they can spend one of their 3 tickets to discard as many cards as they want and draw up new ones. They can do this up to 3 times a game because you have 3 tickets. This continues till all players have placed their tokens, and then the ghost will reveal who is right and who's not. So for example, this player is correct. So they'll take this back, you'll let them know, and you'll place this innocent token here. This is now an innocent character. That's not one of the ones that did it. Now this one is wrong, so what happens is they take this back and they keep all the cards that were given to them, because over the course of the game they'll have multiple rounds to figure it out, and they'll have more and more cards in front of them if they keep guessing wrong. Again, this one would be wrong because it's supposed to be yellow. And again, this is not flipped over. I'm just showing this to you so you can kind of easily see what's going on. This is always secret from the other players. This is wrong too. Now this one is the witness. When that happens, the witness token gets placed on here. This actually happens first. And they can place this on another character. All players that played on the witness do that. And so this actually happens before they find out if they're correct or not. This just gives them another opportunity to move somewhere else. Now in this case, only one was correct, and then you move to round 2, and you just continue doing the same thing. Any players that were correct, they don't get a card this round. They'll just be waiting until all the players get theirs right in this round, but they'll still help figure things out and talk with the other players. But let's say at the end of the next round, everyone is correct. Then we'll go to the next round, and you'll do the same exact thing, except now you're talking about locations. Now, if by the end of the 6th round, all players haven't gotten through the second sort of phase with the locations, then all players lose. However, if before the end of the 6th round, everyone has figured out all their locations, then you go to the final vision. Now with these plot cards, you get a different one each round. So the ghost has one for the first round, a different one for the second round. If you get to the final vision, you'll get a third and different card. And on the third round, you look here, it'll have a 1, 2, or 3. Now, if you remember, these cards have 3 that are blanks. Those are the possible suspects that aren't necessarily innocent. So at the end of the rounds, the ghost will take the 3 cards that do not have anything there and put them off to the side. So at the end, you'll have 3 characters in 3 locations. All of them were not innocent, meaning they didn't have a color there. And so from these, you're trying to come up with a way of telling them which one these is. Now let's say it was 2 because let's say the plot card that we secretly got was 2. Now what you do is you're going to give 2 cards and you're going to shuffle them up. So you're going to select 2 of your dream cards. You're going to try to figure out, one of them is supposed to point towards the character and one is supposed to point towards the location. So you take 2 cards, you shuffle them up, you then reveal them to everybody, and everybody is trying to figure out, is it this one, or this one? They all come to a majority vote. If they're correct, you win. If not, you lose. All right, there is Mysterium Park, and again, if you hadn't played or seen my review of Mysterium, you're gonna wanna watch that first to make sense of these comments. I'm gonna be comparing it a lot to that, and I put that link in the description of the video. And I also wanna let you know that these final thoughts are brought to you by Gray Fox's Games Campaign Trail, which is on Kickstarter right now. It was my strategy game of the year for the elegant multi-use card-driven action system. Check it out at grayfoxgames.com. So, Mysterium Park. First of all, Mysterium in general, the first one, and this, Mysterium was one of my favorite cooperative games. I love Mysterium. I love playing as the ghost. I love the aspect of, giving the cards, trying to figure out what they're thinking about, and trying to, just make people guess what you're trying to point them to by using creative art. Now, so again, that's sort of a summary of Mysterium in general. Now, this version of it, the standalone game, first positive thing is it's definitely faster to set up. You don't have to set up the big board and things like that, and it's faster to get to playing, so it's definitely a plus there for faster to set up. It's also faster to play. The box says 28 minutes, where I think like the original Mysterium actually said like 42 minutes. It was like these weird times that are just not rounded. But it's definitely faster to play this one. So faster to set up and faster to play, definitely positives. And it's half the price too. So if you're looking for a smaller version of Mysterium that's quicker to set up, quicker to play, and half the price, that's what they've done here. The plot cards, I liked how those sort of facilitate the answer. They kind of use these cards that look similar to, like, say, code names, for example, and the ghost or clue giver is able to like look at that and know which one is which for which player. An interesting sort of take on that sort of code names puzzle card there. Also, they took the fiddly sort of clairvoyance mechanism out that I never liked in original Mysterium. It just added a lot of fiddliness. There's sort of a broken system that you could game as well. I never played with that mechanism anyways in the regular version. So those are the good things that they've done with this game. Unfortunately, what they were trying to do invoked a handful of things that I didn't like. Well, number one, first of all, there's one less player than regular Mysterium. That's to keep the game moving and things like that. So that's a negative. Another one is you're waiting until all the players pass around. Now, in the original Mysterium, you could be on a different round of other players. You finish yours, you go to the next round, and you keep playing. And this one, if you get yours right on the first pass, the first round, and other players are waiting 4 or 5 rounds possibly, shouldn't be that bad, but 3 or 4 rounds maybe, you're sitting there and waiting. Yes, it's cooperative. Yes, you're supposed to help them. But there's more likelihood of you waiting around on this one than the original one, because in the original one, you would have to wait once you got through all 3 rounds, but you've already played through 3 rounds. You've played pretty much through the whole game for yourself. And by that time, you're only going to wait 1 or 2 rounds most, because the game's going to be over by then. Where now, this one, you can get yours first and be waiting too long. I don't like that about this one. Also, there's going to be a little bit less variability. Even though there's more categories and people cards, 2 more of each, but you're using 9 of those categories each game. Where with Mysterium, depending on the difficulty, you can be playing with less cards, so there's actually a little bit less replayability in this one. There's also no ways to change the difficulty like there was in the original one. I don't like not having that flexibility to make it easier or harder, depending on your group or what kind of game you want. There's also no tokens to track the wrong answers. So if people are helping other people, it's like, oh, this looks like this one. They're like, no, I already guessed that one. And you go around like that, where we used to use the clairvoyance tokens in the other one that had the little X on it to mark which ones were not it. That would have helped here.
And in the final vision, you're using cards that are not owned by any of the players. Now, that might be cool for some people as they get to see things they didn't see before, or ones that weren't any of theirs. But in the original Mysterium, it was kind of cool to do sort of callbacks and trying to use a card that was similar to one that they got to guess in the first place. So I don't like that aspect as much either. And the final vision is open in this game. I liked the original game where everyone had a vote on their own. You were cooperating the whole time, and now you're all on your own, but you're still working together. I don't like the open communication in this version as much. And there's no sort of like token to reveal the final answer. It's always really tense in the original Mysterium that you're going to, flip it over and everyone, oh, you see, and there's none of that. You just say yes or no, and it's not quite as cool. You can use the dream cards here, but not the locations or characters with the original game, but you could use the original game cards with this game. So overall, I think they did what they were trying to do, make it faster, less expensive, more streamlined, but I think they actually created more problems than they fixed. So for this, I still like the bigger, better, normal Mysterium a lot better, without the clairvoyance, of course. This has been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships through board games by helping you find the next one you'll love.
Lucky Duck Games has launched a brand new online shop and are offering you, my viewers, a special discount. During checkout, use promo code GameBoyGeek10 and you'll save 10% on the price of your games. On the Lucky Ducks game shop, you'll find exciting new releases such as Tang Garden, which I recently reviewed, and the link is below, and It's a Wonderful World, as well as award-winning games like Chronicles of Crime, which is one of my favorite cooperative games of all time, and Vikings Gone Wild. So why not visit LuckyDuckGames.com now and find something new to play?